For your Caesar.
It's a 10 Toes production.
For your Caesar.
Rascal Beats.
For your Caesar. Cardiff City ride with me for your Caesar. For your Caesar. Cardiff City get litty for your Caesar. She want a diff boy. Swagger 1 point, yeah, diff boy. She want a diff boy. Swagger 1 point, yeah, diff boy. For your Caesar. Grab a little something for your Caesar. We the geezers. Swagger stone cold like freezers. She want a diff boy. She want Starvz, not fit.
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel, the home of non-stop Cardiff City chat, analysis, and a whole lot more. By fans, for fans. And today we are previewing what actually might be a pivotal pre-season friendly for Brian Barry Murphy as he prepares for the season, which is under 2 weeks away. The Bluebirds travel to a behind closed door friendly against QPR, which is tomorrow at 2 p.m. But for me, and I'm sure for the coaches, this isn't just another run around in the sun. This is an important one. With less than 2 weeks to go till the League One opener, it's crunch time for Brian Barry Murphy. Will this be the first time he really leans into what he thinks is his strongest 11? Will we finally get a glimpse at the side that he likes? We've already seen it slowly start to take shape, or I say slowly, not. We've seen it take shape quite quickly, but we've only had small glimpses into it. But let's dive into it. So let's look at the context first. Context is always key. 2 weeks to go. So let's set the scene. Cardiff were relegated to League One last season. The dust has settled. The emotions have been vented. It was not pleasant. But the rebuild has officially begun. Brian Barry Murphy was appointed. He's had a few weeks now on the grass with the team. He's been with the group out in Spain. We've had a couple of interesting friendlies that we've seen in terms of a 2-2 draw with Johar and then a tidy 3-0 win over Southend, as well as a couple of behind closed doors games, 21s game, etc. But now is QPR, a championship side who will give us a physical and proper tactical test. This match, look, a result doesn't really matter, but it might just be a moment where BBM starts to fine-tune little bits and pieces, specifically that starting 11, but also I think more importantly it's the relationships between the players, centre-back pairings, fullbacks and wingers, the midfield, strikers, you know, all of these different things, they come into it, they're important. So up to now he's kind of split the squad over two halves. Essentially everyone has had a chance to stake their claim, but that phase may be over. Maybe. Of course it's up to the manager, the coaches, etc. The question is now, does BBM start to shift from experimental mode to execution mode? No signings, but no departures either. So, very briefly, let's talk reality. Cardiff have made 0 signings this summer as it stands, as I record this video. That is not ideal, especially when you've just been relegated. You've got glaring gaps, particularly at full-back, central midfield, central back, maybe wingers, you know, and you're unsure about your keeper. I think it's important they've held on to their, what you perceive as their crown jewels, if you like, at least for now, and at least at the moment. Yusuf Stalic, still here. Ruben Colwell, still here. Alex Robertson, still here. Dylan Lawler, the Academy Golden Boy, still here. Plus, you know, several others. Callum Robinson, still here. Chris Willock, still here. So these are all players who can really contribute this season if they're still here. That's a strong, creative and developmental core. For BBM's style, which revolves around ball dominance, intelligent movement and bravery in possession, that group could be massive. They could be absolutely crucial. And when you look at it, is his philosophy starting to take shape? Well, if you've watched the pre-season games that we've had access to, you'll have seen signs of that BBM blueprint taking hold. He wants control build-up from the back. He wants to move the ball a bit quicker than what we have done previously over the last couple of years. He wants fluid rotations in midfield. He wants fullbacks to invert and create overloads. He wants to change shapes depending on the phase of play. He wants an aggressive, well-organised press, counter-press. The moment the ball is lost, he wants it back. Against Johar, against Salemd, we saw glimpses of all of those things, especially in the pressing side of things and recovering the ball. The front three in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 shape, depending on who plays in the 10, it's all vital. Robertson's composure in the 8, Ruben's intelligence between the lines have all been encouraging. I think Robertson's been a slow starter, but I think he'll come good. We know that he's a good footballer. Ruben, on the other hand, been quite impressive in those couple of games in Spain. He's got to take that on. Other players, of course, impressed. That relationship between Ruben and Salic has got to be grown, built, watered, and let it just grow even more, because it was impressive. We need it to be telepathic. There's still work to be done, of course, particularly when it comes to the defensive organisation, and in the transition there is work. So QPR is a massive, massive test. So where are QPR right now? So if you flip the script a bit, who are they up against? It's difficult because you're trying to... I don't know as much about other teams, particularly in pre-season. I do in the league season. I do a lot more research. You've got Cifuentes as the manager, who's now into his second full season in charge. The last season, I think they finished 18th in the championship. Survival was their aim. They just about managed that. This summer, they've gone smart in the window. There's a few key additions, which if you look at qpr.co.uk and BBC Sport, Lucas Anderson, who's an attacking midfielder from AAB in Denmark, will give him a creative outlet with bags of technical skill, experience in the Dutch and Danish top flights. You've got Joe Hodge, who's come in on loan from Wolves, tidy, dynamic, central midfielder who likes to win duels. And then you've got Elijah Dixon-Bonner, who they've taken maybe a bit of a gamble on, but I think he impressed in League One last year with Forest Green. He's brought in legs and energy to the midfield. Taylor Richards has returned on a permanent deal after a previous loan spell. They've also had a pretty solid pre-season, with a couple of wins against Gillingham and Reading and a draw against Charlton. Cifuentes generally likes the 4-3-3. He does occasionally switch to 3 at the back in game, just if he wants a bit more creative central control. They also like to play a possession-based football, but it's a lot more vertical than Brian Barry Murphy's style. Their fullbacks, Kenneth Powell, Osman Keke, they get forward. You can exploit that, but you also have to be aware of it. They also rotate into a back 3 during the build-up to try and create overloads. This is exactly the kind of tactical test that Cardiff City need, Brian Barry Murphy needs at this stage, because he's got to get it right for that first league game. Will he play his strongest 11? I mean, here's the $1 million question, right? Will Brian Barry Murphy go with what he thinks is his strongest 11? If he does, we could see something like this. But again, this is all subjective, because what I think our strongest 11 is, you guys might not. So it is a tricky one, right? So I would go with Howworth in goal, but I think Alnwick's injured anyway, so Howworth in goal. Bagan left back is a no-brainer. The right back, I think, is a bit of a toss of a coin for Spears and Kepakiao, but I would go with Kepakiao as the slightly more experienced option. And then the centre-backs, I'm picking out of Fish, Lawler, Chambers. He seems to like Chambers, so it's whether you go for the ball-playing ability of Lawler and the defensive qualities, or you go with Fish, who's more of a out-and-out defender. It'd be a tight one. In the 6, I would go for Eli King, but I've got a feeling he may go for the experience of Ryan Wintle. And then Robertson, Joel Colwell. Who'd you go with? Joel Colwell's probably done a bit better in pre-season, and Turnbull has done a bit better than pre-season. But Alex Robertson, I think, on ability, on his best day, is the number 8. So it's a very interesting one. It's all subjective. It's all opinions. Ruben Colwell, I think, is the number 10, but you could go with Callum Robinson. You could go with Keane Ashford in there. It's interesting. Personally, I'm going Ruben in 10. Off the left, I would go Isaac Davis, maybe Callum Robinson, but I'd probably go with Isaac. If I see Ollie Tanner, I'd like to see him off the left, getting past his man and putting some crosses in, rather than off the right. But I would go with that Isaac for his sheer pace and his pressing ability, I think, is vital. Salic through the middle. I would go with Keane Ashford off the right. I think he looks better on the right than the left, but he can play either side. I think he's perfectly suited in terms of his technical ability and everything else, his decision making, to be in the Brian Barry Murphy side. But you've also got Nayaka Hawa, you've got some young options who might get some time. And of course, he won't play even if he does go with the first 11, or what he thinks is his first 11, they won't play the whole game. They might get an hour, they might get half. But Brian Barry Murphy may also experiment, because let's not forget, these games aren't about results. They're about rhythm, conditioning, shape, chemistry, and execution under pressure. And he might want to have a look at certain players alongside others. So there isn't any guarantee, I don't think, that he goes with his strongest 11. Let's talk about the young fullback storyline that he's kind of developing. It's really intriguing. And right now, Cardiff's fullback options are all 23 or under. Joel Bagan, Cardiff's longest serving player. Mr. Reliable at left back, very consistent. You've got Louis Giles, 19 years old, I think. Improving physically, definitely. An excellent crosser of the ball. Good at overlapping. Technically a good footballer. Will Spears, 17, 18, looks the part technically and defensively, which is really exciting. Good ball carrying. Very good in attacking and off defensive. And then you've got Ronan Capaccio, same, quite young, recently back from a serious injury, and I think a Wales youth international, very explosive going forward. Needs a little bit of work, maybe physically and stuff, but technically he's an excellent footballer, very, very highly rated, and I'm looking forward to seeing him kick on this season. There's talent there. It's also a risk because they're all young. Now, could Brian Barry Murphy, as an alternative, go full Pep Guardiola, go with 4 centre-backs across the back four for that stability and the ball control, and they kind of invert, like if you imagine something like Joel Bagan tucking into midfield, and then a Fish, Chambers, Lawler back three in possession, or you have Chambers at right back and he goes into the double pivot with an Eli King, or maybe they go a bit more aggressive, so that's interesting. That level of control and rest defence structure could really help Cardiff within transitions, something that League One teams will really look to exploit. So it's definitely interesting. Who captains the side? Well, do you go with experience? Do you go with new blood? It's another subplot. It's another intriguing possibility, the captaincy. Joe Rawls, Aaron Ramsey gone, Callum O'Dowda gone, Jack Alnwick out. Does BBM go with the experienced option of a Callum Chambers or Ryan Wintle? Chambers is an experienced pro. He's tactically intelligent, well respected. He's good on the ball. Makes sense, yeah? Or does he go with the bold option? Does he go with a younger player? Ruben Colwell, we've talked about. Make him the face of the Cardiff Revolution, the new era, a symbol of change and a message that this is Brian Barry Murphy's team now, and Ruben Colwell's the guy. It would be risky, right? Real risky. But it could also galvanise Ruben, it could galvanise the fan base, and it could give those young players coming through the academy and in the first team something to look to and aim at. Ruben's already shown more aggression and a little bit of leadership in the pre-season, but it's pre-season. We need to see more, I think, for it to be a realistic option, but the way Brian Barry Murphy talks about him and to him, I won't be shocked if he's the option. And I want to kind of, as we get towards the end of this video, I want to talk about why pre-season results sometimes mean absolutely nothing. So before anyone starts losing their minds if we lose to QPR tomorrow, even if the performance is not great, we've got to talk about facts, right? Pre-season results can be so misleading, they can be inconsistent and completely unrepresentative of where you're at that point. But why? Well, because managers often go into these games looking to work on one or two very specific things. Could be pressing triggers, could be building out under pressure, could be midfield rotation, set piece structure. Like you name it, there's all host of options. On top of that, players are quite often doing double training sessions around pre-season. Their legs might be heavy, their minds might not be as sharp. The focus isn't on the scoreboard, It's on systems, tactics, behaviours, shape and rhythm. So yes, a 3-0 win is great. But a 1-0 loss where you dominate possession and generate 15 high-quality chances, that actually might be more encouraging to a manager like Barry Murphy. And the final build-up begins. This is it now, right? 2 weeks to the season. No more experiments really for me. I need to start seeing what we're going to look like going into that first game. No more softly rotation. I need to see something in this QPR game. And I think 2 more friendlies or 1 more after that. We have to nail down the strongest 11, the tactical identity, and the key leaders in this group. The clock's ticking. The fans are watching. The transfers haven't come yet. And for the first time in a long time, there's hope. But not hype, not delusion. Just a real belief that we've got a decent, real good coach. If you give him the right backing, the right structure, and the right execution, this team might just surprise a few people this season. That's it from me for a pre-season friendly preview. They are slightly different because they're pre-season. But don't forget, if you are enjoying this kind of detailed tactical content, we are powered entirely by our members. For less than a price of a cup each month, you can join Cardiff City World or join patreon.com/acepodcastnation. Join the community. You'll get exclusive member shows weekly, first access to our special long form features coming soon, and 24-hour priority access to live event tickets. It's more than just content. It's a movement. It's a community. Join us because members are what make it all possible. I've been Si. You've been Legends. I will see you after the game. Let me know what you think. Let me know, will Brian Barry Murphy experiment or will he go with his strongest 11 at some point? I'm interested. Give me that context in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, like, all that good stuff. My friends, keep the faith, and I'll see you in a bit. Nice one.
For your Caesar.
Maxwell Beats.
For your Caesar. Cardiff City.